Greetings, gente puente! As many of you know, on September 1st, we're celebrating the 1 year anniversary of the podcast that I host called Gente Puente. So, as we get closer to that anniversary, I wanted to share with you some tips and strategies for how you can be Gente Puente in your parish or your diocese, or you can help people who you minister with be Gente Puente, meaning how do you build bridges between different cultures and languages in the church to build unity. A little over a year ago, when I decided to step out of direct ministry in the parish, at least during this season while we're raising small children, I really wanted to find a way to keep serving the church. So I decided to start this podcast where I interview amazing Gente Puente bridge builders all over the country who have helped unite their parish and their diocese by ministering with the Hispanic Latino Catholics. It has been amazing and humbling to get to know many of you through the podcast and in our Facebook group, and to hear about the incredible things you're doing in ministry. And it's humbling because who am I to be the one doing the interviews or to come here and share with you about cultural integration? I have no studies, I'm no expert, but I really feel God telling me, like, you need to do your part. He's the master builder. He's got it all figured out. I just have these few bricks that I'm supposed to put. So here I am sharing with you a little bit of my experience. As we get closer to this anniversary, I'm going to continue. I'll be in touch this week with a few more videos. But for now, what we're going to focus on is how do we take those first few steps? Like many of you, I dream for a church that is more united across all kinds of differences, but especially languages and cultures. That's kind of my area of ministry. So my goal in this ministry is to inspire people to have a true encounter with someone who's different than them, to just take those first few steps. And maybe that's your goal in your ministry too. So I want to provide some ideas today of how we can do that. Just take those first few steps. I also know that it's not easy. When I first moved to Ecuador, I was a volunteer for a year there after college, 17 years ago. I only had one semester of Spanish in college, and I had a 3-week intensive course before I went. So I could say like some simple sentences in Spanish, but the language and culture shocks were very real, and I very much remember that. I know it's not easy. I remember sitting in the young adult meetings, the Grupo Juvenil, in the local parish there in Ecuador, and everyone is talking at the same time and joking around, and I have no idea what they're talking about. I don't understand the jokes. I'm pretty sure they're all about me, and I'm the butt of these jokes. So it was definitely pushing me out of my comfort zone. But even though these encounters can be challenging and uncomfortable, they are so worth it. I can't even express really how much my life has been enriched by the encounters that I had with people there in Ecuador. And then when I returned, the encounters that I have had with Hispanic immigrants here in Western Kentucky and their children over the past 16 years. And I want that for other Catholics too, like you and those that you serve. Specifically, I'm talking about Hispanic Latino immigrants who are either first-generation immigrants or their children, because that's who I have the experience with. But a lot of this can be applied to any culture. We are all enriched by the beauty and diversity of this tapestry that is God's family. So if you've had a lot of interaction with Hispanic Latino culture around you, or maybe you are Hispanic, maybe this information can be shared with the people who you know who might benefit from it in your ministry. And if you haven't had a lot of interaction, I want to encourage you to just take a first few steps. So like I wrote about in my ebook about the cultural differences that affect Hispanic ministry, in general, Hispanic Latino cultures tend to be more relational than the prevailing culture that has more European roots. Now, of course, this depends where you live in the United States too, because people here in the South, for example, tend to be much more relational than in New England, where I'm from, for example. If you get the ebook, you can kind of dive deeper into those spectrums of the 5 cultural dimensions and where you might fall on that spectrum and where the community that you're trying to encounter might fall on the spectrum. But the main point I want to make is this. Don't be afraid, even if you can't speak Spanish or whatever indigenous dialect that maybe the people who you're wanting to encounter speak. The number one thing to focus on is building a relationship. Of course, it's easy and it's important to learn a few phrases and to teach those around us at least a few phrases in that language. But the presence and just the desire to have an encounter is going to speak way louder and have more of an impact. I remember so many times in Ecuador, I would go to a family to visit in their homes and I would struggle just to express my most basic feelings and thoughts and share stories about my life. And at times I would go home like wondering, was that just more trouble than it was even worth to them? Because I'm like searching for every word and what's that thing and what do you call it and it's black and it's a square, just trying to come up with the words. But over time, those visits, those encounters created true friendships. Eventually, I understood more and more what was being shared with me, and I felt more at ease sharing myself. Wherever you or those who you're encouraging are in this experience, I want to encourage you to just take the next very small step. For example, if you've never been, go to a Spanish Mass in the area or another event that the Hispanic community is hosting in that area and just say, Hola, Buenos días, or Buenas tardes, ¿Cómo está? So, hi, how are you? Good morning or good afternoon. And if they start throwing out a whole bunch of Spanish back and you're overwhelmed, just say, Perdón, yo no hablo mucho español, pero yo quiero conocer más a ustedes. You can rewind that, listen to it a few more times if you don't know Spanish. But you're just saying, sorry, I don't speak a lot of Spanish, but I want to get to know you better. Just that gesture can be so significant to the people around you. It speaks volumes when there's a message that someone who was raised here in the prevailing culture actually wants to get to know Hispanics personally and that they value their presence. Also, as you may have seen in part of this anniversary, I'm opening up an online store where I'll be selling things that I hope will serve as discussion starters, like the apparel, like this shirt here. It's already available on Amazon if you wanted to check it out. But we'll be selling other t-shirts and other apparel, other items that hopefully can spark a discussion and show people out and about that you value diversity and that you want to spread that message. Or maybe it could be a good gift for someone who you feel like already embodies that message. I hope that you'll stay tuned in the next few days. I'm going to be talking more about cultural integration and how do we become these gente puente bridge builders in our parishes and our dioceses. How can we bring people together to unite the body of Christ? So that's all for today, but I'll be in touch again tomorrow, si Dios quiere. In the meantime, I would love it if you would comment below the video. Share a little bit about your first encounters with people of other cultures. Was it hard? Was it funny? Was it worth it? I want to hear all about it, so make sure to comment below. Thank you.